When you're in a trench, what can you see? You can see the mud, you can see the wall in front of you, you can see your own boots. That's where most of us live our lives. We're so focused on the immediate problem, the bill, the conflict, the schedule, that we lose sight of the whole war. A gladiator fights with his head down, focused on survival. A king fights from the high ground, focused on the horizon. Today we leave the trench and we are going outside, not just for fresh air, but to get a fresh vantage point. Welcome back to the Applied Faith Podcast. I'm Tyler Y'all, and it's day number 25 of the Kingdom Challenge. We're closing in on the end of week 4. We are deep in the second half, and today the rotation brings us back to the second discipline, 30 minutes outside. The instruction is to connect with the creation and clear your mind. Now, earlier in this challenge, we used this time to practice silence to turn off the rest of the noise. But today, I want to challenge you to use this time for perspective. See, anxiety thrives in small places. When you're staring at your phone or on your laptop, or the world shrinks down to the size of that screen in front of you. Your problems look massive because they fill the entire field of vision. The only way to shrink the problem is to expand the context. You have to physically put yourself in a space that's bigger than you. I want to take you to Genesis 15. Abraham is stressed. He's worried about his legacy. He's worried about his lack of an heir. He's in the tent, staring at the ceiling, spiraling out of control. And what does God do? He doesn't argue with him in that tent. He took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars. If indeed you can count them," then he said to him, "so shall your offspring be." God took him outside. Why? Because inside the tent, Abraham's problem was the biggest thing in the room. Outside under the galaxy, his problem was so small. And especially, it was so small compared to the promise that God had given him. God used creation to recalibrate Abraham's faith. He forced him to look up. This is the kingdom mindset. We fight from victory because we serve the God of the stars. But sometimes you forget when you've been staring at the spreadsheet for 8 hours. Sometimes you forget when you've been scrolling on TikTok for too long. Sometimes you forget when you get into that Facebook battle. But you need to see the sky to remember the sovereign. So how do we apply this for day number 25? When you go outside for your 30 minutes today, I don't want you just to look at the ground while you walk. I want you to practice that zoom out. Look at a tree that's been there for 50 years. Look at the clouds moving. Look at the horizon. When I'm taking my walk in the morning, I love looking up at the stars, knowing that they're light years away, that God created all of those, that there's stars that we don't even see yet that God created. Remind yourself, the world's big. God is holding all of this together without my help. If he can manage the orbit of the planets, he can manage my Tuesday. Use creation as an anchor for your trust. Let the size of the world shrink the size of your worry. Here's the challenge for day 25. Spend at least 5 minutes of your time outside today doing nothing but looking up. If it's in the morning, focus on the stars. If it's the afternoon, focus on the clouds. Don't look at the sun. But just realize how big the world is around you. Physically lifting your head changes your posture. It moves you from a posture of defeat with your head hanging down to a posture of victory with your head up. It reminds me when I was a kid, when I would get out of a wrestling match and I just lost or I didn't do as well as I wanted to. I'd have my head down. I'd walk over to my coach or my dad, and the first thing they would tell me every single time is keep your head up. Not just because I went out there and did my best, but because it changes your physiological way that you come to the rest of the world. Because usually when there's a wrestling tournament, you have another one coming. You can't be down in your worries. You have to keep your head up. We have to do that every single day too, especially when everything that the culture is telling us is to look down. We need to be different. We need to keep our heads up. We need to get out of the tent. Go see what God has made for us. You are small. And that's good news because it means you don't have to carry the world. God is already doing that for us. God is already big enough for us. He has given us the power that we need for today. Enjoy your view today. I'm Tyler Y'all, and we'll see you tomorrow for day number 26.